What's going on, moms and dads? My name is Dr. John Caruso. I am a neurologically focused pediatric prenatal family wellness chiropractor, and it's safe to say that if you're a parent whose child has struggled with constipation, that you've probably heard of Miralax at least once or twice. But this over-the-counter laxative, it's commonly recommended for kids who are struggling with constipation. And we really understand that no parent wants to turn towards medication, especially for their kids, and especially if they don't have to, and rightly so. So we don't want you to feel as though Miralax is your only option, especially with the many documented side effects that have come from it. So we're not going to talk only about Miralax and the struggles that come with it, but we're also going to dive into the natural solutions to get your baby, your toddler, your child out of the constipation struggle and have regular digestion and pooping regularly, because that matters. So this video is exactly for you, moms and dads, who are stuck and feel as though that Miralax is their only option, especially if you've noticed that the negative impact that Miralax has both emotionally and behaviorally on your kids. And plus, because it's not addressing the root cause, the digestive issues, the struggles, and the constipation continue because it's not addressing the root cause. So in this video, what we're really going to dive deeper into is our body's normal physiological process of digestion. We're going to talk about how Miralax gets in the way, and then we're going to talk about how neurologically focused pediatric chiropractic is a natural solution for constipation for our kids, because it's super cool. So please share with another mom, another parent, another person, another somebody who you know needs to hear this information and this message for their kids and for their family. Over the years, it's been really cool to watch a lot of these kids, and the one that I want to share with you guys today is, we'll just call her Baby K. And so mom came to me because developmentally she wasn't on track, and there was a lot of things associated with her case. And so she was on Miralax and a couple of other things, and she wasn't pooping, she wasn't sleeping, she wasn't calming, she was irritable, and she was uncomfortable, and like stranger danger, and I got a big old beard, so she didn't like me at the beginning, and there's all these little things that were going on with Baby K at the beginning. And when mom and I sat down and I read through her history, and I was like, hey, one of my favorite things about what I get to do is that I help kids thrive without medication, and we build health for generations. And so I told her specifically, I was like, look, I have a really big, hairy, audacious goal, and it may be more, the word that I think I remember using was like, it may be more, personal is not the word, but it may be more selfish, a selfish goal. It's like, I want to see her thrive in pooping daily, multiple times a day, without Miralax. And mom was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And so what was so stinking cool was about 2 weeks into care, she started titrating her doses and has never touched the stuff since. And that was back in July. And then what we've seen over the past several months is that her socialization's improving, her calming, her sleeping, her pooping, of course, is improving in such a way that she doesn't need this stuff. And it's the coolest thing to watch parents and children thrive and watch the stress levels of parents also decrease whenever the struggles start to go away. But I digress. We'll talk about a ton of cool cases and stuff on another video, but we're going to drive straight into the science of all of this. And so the first question is, why the heck is Miralax recommended so often for our kids? Now, when we think about Miralax, and we got to kind of go backwards to move forwards and go deep before we can go into the other stuff, is that the main ingredients in Miralax is this thing called polyethylene glycol 3350. And I probably mess that up more often than I should, which is why I don't talk about it. But when we talk about Miralax, we do have to talk about some things. Now, this main ingredient, what it's designed to do is to help our digestive tract hold more water, which also pulls more water into our stool or the poop. And so this helps our stool pass a whole lot easier, and because it's softer. And so Miralax, when we talk about like dosing, it most often comes in like a powder or like a mix to put in like water or juice. And when we talk about dosage recommendations, they're specifically for adults, and then it's recommended that you reach out to your provider for use with kids under the age of 17. And so for more information on the origin of Miralax and its ingredients, I highly recommend that you do your own research, because you are going to absolutely be surprised at what you find. I'll link the study here in a second that we're about to talk about. But the FDA did a really interesting study, and they found that about 167 kids taking Miralax had severe emotional but also psychiatric side effects. And so this study was actually reported on by CBS News. And you know, what's interesting is thereafter, this debate's continued. And unfortunately, the FDA has failed to approve the use of Miralax for kids under the age of 17. And so while it's used, it's currently considered an off-label medication or a drug. And while many pediatricians are recommended its use for constipation, there are many other sites, many other experts and providers that have really documented the common side effects that actually increase things like bloating and gas and cramping and diarrhea and stomach pains and pressure, which seems incredibly counterintuitive, because it is. But like I said, I'll link that below so that way you guys can read it, because it's pretty stinking interesting. But you know, going back to that main ingredient, is that this polyethylene glycol 3350, its mechanism of how it works onto the body is that of retaining water. And so while this sounds like a good thing when we're trying to get poop out, it's actually working against our body's natural process for nutrient and fluid absorption. Now, while altering this process may provide temporary relief, long term, it's working against absorption, and it affects not only our biochemistry within our body, but also our brain's communication with our digestive system, primarily from our vagus nerve. And you know, what's really interesting is that over the past 10 or so years, there have been many parent groups that have formed that are really very critical of Miralax. And a lot of times it's parents that are citing their own experiences of their own children's struggles, specifically while taking Miralax. And you know, what's interesting is like the documented studies or the results of those studies have yet to actually show a definitive answer. But these symptoms, when we start talking about Miralax, include quite a bit of severe behavioral side effects, such as anxiety and mood swings and anger and paranoia and massive personality changes. And so while there's still this debate on the association of each side effect from an academic perspective, the vast majority of parents and caregivers and clinicians and providers that are coming forward with these experiences absolutely cannot be ignored. And so, you know, when we start thinking about these things, especially as parents, we have every single right to be angry and frustrated when we hear or even see some of these real life examples of the side effects that we just talked about. Because when we turn to a medication and we turn to a provider, we want to trust that it's not only effective, but that it's also extremely safe, especially if we're going to be giving it to our children. And understandably, many parents get pretty angry when they learn about these behavioral and emotional side effects, specifically of Miralax, for the first time. And you know, what we really hope to do with this is that you find a path and an option that gets to the actual root cause of your child's constipation. And then for you to be able to take action to then care for it naturally and without drugs. So this then leads us into the question, like, what is the natural solution or medication-free solution for constipation? So over the years of clinical practice, we continue to find that kids struggling with constipation comes from three main categories. So the first is nutritional and food intolerances. The second is neurological interferences. And then the third is both nutritional and neurological. And so the wildest part of all of this is that while nearly 100% of the patients that we begin care with, they've tried a multitude of diet changes and detoxes and supplements and Miralax and enemas and milk of magnesia, but almost none of them have been told about how important the nervous system is when it comes to gut and digestive system health. So when we dive deeper, the science behind it, especially concerning constipation and our digestive system issues, It's actually really super stinking simple. See, an overstressed brain and an overstimulated nervous system gets stuck on a perpetual or sustained fight or flight mode. And this is known as our sympathetic side of the nervous system. And so when a child gets stuck in this sympathetically overloaded, overwhelmed, and stuck state, it's what's called subluxation. And so when we talk about the body, the limited motility and the wrong signaling neurologically is then what creates constipation. Now, this lack of digestive motility, it's caused by sustained sympathetic stress. And it also limits the body's ability to assimilate or bring in nutrients and then use them for our bodies, and then excrete toxins and unwanted molecules. So this is where the reaction to things like gluten and dairy and so forth come in, as well as those increased behavior issues and emotional dysregulation. Now, these foods are already more difficult to digest by nature, but if you have a subluxated and stressed, stuck on, and overwhelmed nervous system filled with interference and distress, it struggles to digest and then eliminate even the absolute most basic and healthy foods alike. And so what's really frustrating is that, it's actually, especially when I talk about it with parents on especially in a consultation or a visit basis, this is literally where the ultimate frustration comes in, because let alone throwing the book at this child, you've thrown the entire freaking library at this problem for your child, specifically with fantastic nutrition and supplements, but yet the constipation and the problems and the struggles continue to persist. And it's frustrating, and I hear it all of the time. And just like the mom that I had mentioned earlier of baby K, if you've tried it all, and you've tried all of the things, the enemas, the milk of magnesia, the belly rubs, the all of the things, or if you're just now embarking on this journey with helping your child's chronic constipation, please save Miralax and drugs as an absolute last resort, simply because the side effects of Miralax are many, and they can be long lasting as well. So since we find that most of these cases have neurological stress and subluxation as primary contributors, we recommend reaching out to a pediatric chiropractor or to us to learn about your exact struggles and get a neurological assessment with the Insight scanning technology. Now, this gentle measurement allows us to address the root cause of your child's health challenges and their constipation. We believe that every single child deserves a drug-free option as an absolute first choice, saving all of the side effects of the things like Miralax as a last resort only. And if you're concerned that this may be the case with your child, schedule a consultation and an exam with us right away. So, biggest thing that I always ask is just leave a comment or send us a DM with all of your questions and all of your thoughts, because this stuff matters. And this is where we learn as parents, through communication, not arguments or debating, but genuine curiosity. And so outside of questions, please share this with other parents and family and Facebook groups who need to hear it. And then take the action step specifically of reading the article on our website about chronic constipation or how to manage chronic constipation. There's several of them on our website with more information than you probably ever wanted to know about chiropractic and the nervous system and the brain and the vagus nerve and subluxation and dysautonomia and all these really big fancy nerdy words. But it's going to equip you with more knowledge and more information so that you can make the best decisions possible when it comes to your kids. Feel free to reach out, because we are always willing, able, and happy to help.